Hi there, everybody. This is the explanation for the third math problem in my Math No Calculator section on my website, Short SAT Diagnostic Test. Let's get right to it. It says that Stephen needs to buy T theme park tickets for himself and his family. Each ticket costs $80, and the number of tickets he needs to buy can be modeled by the expression T squared minus 4T minus 90 equals 6 when T is greater than 0. What is the total cost of the theme park tickets that Stephen purchased? Now, if you saw my last math explanation, you'll know that wordy SAT math problems, by the time I get to the end, I'm completely lost. I can't do it all in one shot. I've got to go sentence by sentence and sometimes half sentence by half sentence. So let me go back to the beginning, really think about what I'm reading, write down everything I can, circle everything that's important. It says, Stephen needs to buy T theme park tickets. I'm going to stop right there. What is T? Well, T represents the number of theme park tickets that he needs to buy. Now, it would be nice if the test writers in parentheses would have written number of to make it ultra clear, but we can infer that T represents the number of theme park tickets that he's buying for him and his family. It's an unknown right now, so we're using the variable T to stand in place for that number. It then says each ticket costs $80. I'm going to circle that because we know 80 bucks is going to come into play later on. And then it says the number of tickets he needs to buy can be modeled by the expression T squared minus 4T minus 90 equals 6. Well, that's where things might seem to get a little complicated, but hold on. I'm going to give you some easy methods to tackle this in just a moment. And then it says, when T is greater than 0. Now, why would they put that in there? T is the number of tickets. Why would they say that it's greater than 0 or positive? Because the number of tickets can't be negative. You can't have a negative number of tickets. So this is almost something that we would just assume. It is going to come into play in a little bit, but it just makes sense that T would be positive. Then the problem asks, what is the total cost of the theme park tickets that Stephen purchased? So that's important to make note of. What is the total cost of the theme park tickets? The total cost. We always want to make note of what they're asking. Sometimes if we get a partial answer, these sneaky test writers are going to have that as one of the choices. Your eyes are going to see that, and you may leap to it right away and forget that indeed that's not exactly what they were asking for. So we're going to look for the total cost of theme park tickets. So here's the thing. Right now, you may have no clue how to figure this out, and that's okay, because I'm going to give you your out of the gate move. I'm going to give you a move that you're going to do in all of these types of scenarios. Now, what is that scenario? This is what it is. Whenever you see what we call a polynomial, a letter squared, and then a plus or a minus, and then a letter not squared, and then a plus or a minus and a number, we're going to do 3 steps. The first thing we're going to do is get all of the letters and numbers on the left side, leaving a 0 on the right side. So what do I have on the right side? I have a 6. I want to get rid of that on the right side and put it on the left side. How am I going to do that? I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So if I write that now, T squared minus 4T, I already have a minus 90, but I'm subtracting 6 from both sides. That's going to become minus 96, and that's going to equal 0 because I had a 6, I subtracted a 6, I'm left with 0. That's what I want, number 1. That's step 1. What is step 2? Step 2 is to combine all like terms. If I had a bunch of T squareds on the left side, I would add or subtract them. If I had a bunch of T's on the left side, I would add or subtract them. And if I had a bunch of numbers on the left side, I would add or subtract them. It so happens that we don't have any like terms to add or subtract. We have one term that's T squared, one that's T, and one that's just a number. So step 2 is already taken care of. What is step 3? Step 3 is wherever I have a polynomial, I am going to use the reverse form of FOIL. Do you all know what FOIL stands for? Well, if you do, fast forward a little bit and get back to this part. I'm going to take a little bit of a detour. I'm going to get up another page and I'm going to go through a very short FOIL lesson. But if you do not know what FOIL is, in order to do well on the SAT math, you have to know FOIL. So let's go take a look at FOIL. This is what FOIL stands for. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, and last. Don't make fun of my handwriting. I hear you snickering. This is not about handwriting. That's what FOIL stands for. Okay. Now, how do we use it? What does it mean? This is what it means. When you have a polynomial that's factored, let's say I have x plus 3 and x minus 2. We use FOIL to multiply these two parentheses together. How do we do that? Well, we use these terms. So let me label them first. What does first mean? First is the first expression up in every parentheses. So x is the first in this parentheses because it comes before the 3, and x is the first, pardon me, in this parentheses because it comes before the 2. That's the first term. So those get the F's. Let's jump to L, last, because that's easy also. Well, what's the last? Well, 3 is last in the parentheses and 2 is last in the parentheses. What does outer mean? Well, there are 2 terms that are on the outside of the parentheses and 2 terms that are on the inside of the parentheses. So X is not only a first, but it's on the outside. L is not only a last, but it's also on the outside. The 3 is the last of this parentheses, but it's on the inside of the whole parentheses, and so is the X. So every number has 2 designations. X is first and outer, 3 is last and inner. This X is first and inner, and this 2 is last and outer. Now, how are we going to use FOIL? What FOIL tells us is the order in which we are going to multiply the terms together. So we're first going to look at the first terms. Those are the ones I labeled F, and we're going to multiply them together. X is an F, X is an F, X times X is X squared. Now we're going to multiply the outer terms together. What are the outers? X is an outer and minus 2. We can't forget the operation that comes before the term. Okay, so it's X times minus 2. That's minus 2X. Then we're going to multiply the 2 inner terms. Well, I have X and 3. The 3 is a plus, so that's plus 3X. And then I'm going to multiply the last together. That's 3 and minus 2. So that's minus 6. Now I'm going to combine like terms. There's only one X squared term, so that's going to remain. I have a minus 2X plus a 3X. Well, what's 3X minus 2X? It's X, so that's plus X. And then I only have one number, minus 6. So these 2 factors that are broken up into 2 parentheses, when you multiply them together, just like when you multiply 4 and 3 together, you get 12. When I multiply this parentheses times this parentheses, I get X squared plus X minus 6. That's how you do FOIL. Now, we are going to use FOIL throughout the SAT test, and we're also going to use reverse FOIL. Reverse FOIL is when you're given the polynomial and I've got to break it back down into its factors. And that's where we are with this problem. So let's jump back there and we're going to use reverse FOIL now that you got a good idea of what FOIL is. Stand by. Okay, so we had, where we left off was t squared, ignore that 640 that got highlighted. There's no time to change it now, minus 96, if you recall, and that equaled 0, because all we did was move the 6 to the left side. Now I've got to use reverse FOIL. So I'm going to put my parentheses up. We know it equals 0. And let's just sort of use what we learned with FOIL to go in reverse. Well, what 2 first terms would I put here that would equal t squared? That's easy. It would be t and t, because t times t is t squared. That's checked. Now I've got to look at what last, I jump to the last term now. What 2 numbers multiplied together would give me 96? The first thing I want to make note of is the sign here. This is a negative. The only way to get a negative last number is for one of these to be positive and one of these to be negative. If they were both positive, when I multiplied the last positions together, I would get a positive number. If they were both negative, if I multiplied two negative numbers together, my last position would also be a positive. So I know that because there's a negative before the 96, one of these has to be a plus and one of these has to be a minus. So I'm almost there. I've only got two positions to fill in. Now the question is, what two numbers multiplied together are going to give me 96, but also give me a -4 in the middle? Stay with me. Let's think of some things that give us 96. That would make sense. 96 could be, let's see, 12 and 8. And that's looking pretty good, right? 12 and 8, because 12 times 8 is 96. Okay, this is a no calculator section, but you can check me with your calculator if you want. And if I put a 12 here and an 8 here, and sometimes you just have to play around with different numbers, I'm going to get my -96 at the end. But if I do my outers, t times -12 is -12t, and my inners is 8t, and I add them together, I'm going to end up with -4t. So I have successfully reverse foiled this polynomial. Now look what I have here. I've got two parentheses. I've got a t plus 8 and a t minus 12, and multiplied together, they equal 0. So here's the next step. All I do now, and you're going to encounter this on a lot of different type math, SAT math problems, we set both of these individually to 0. I'm going to set t plus 8 equal to 0, and I'm going to set t minus 12 equal to 0. You don't know why, because that's just the next step. But the why might be obvious to you in that if this parentheses is 0, it doesn't matter what this one is. It's going to equal 0 because 0 times anything is 0. Similarly, if this one is 0, it doesn't matter what this one is because 0 times anything is 0. So as long as one of these is set to 0, my equation holds true. So if t plus 8 equals 0, what would t be? It would be -8 because -8 plus 8 is 0. If t minus 12 is 0, what would t be? Well, t would be 12 because 12 minus 12 is 0. Well, they gave us a parameter. They said that t is greater than 0 because we cannot have a negative number of tickets. You go try. It cannot be done. So we know that the number of tickets we have is 12. We feel like we've done a lot of work and we feel like we've gotten the answer. But we still have one more very simple step to do because it asks for what is the total cost of theme park tickets? Well, I know my individual cost of each ticket is 80, and I know my number of tickets is 12. So all we have to do now is 12 times 80. And yes, you got to do the long division, but this is simple. 16, 960, and the answer is C, 960. All right, you have any questions? Call me, write me, text me, website me, mister-sat.com. My email is mrsatact1@gmail.com. Hope you learned something. Hope it was helpful. Come on back for the next one. See you soon.